This is the Army-Navy Screen Magazine Cutting Room, where combat film taken by Army, Navy, and Marine cameramen comes in from battlefronts all over the world. The Marine Staff Sergeant with the Expert Medal is 22-year-old Norman Hatch from Boston, Massachusetts. Sergeant Hatch went in with the first wave on the landing at Tarawa, armed with a pistol and a hand camera, and brought back a film record of the fighting on that island that looks as though it had been taken through a front-line gun sight.
Let me see that, Sexton. You know, that's the best brand of combat film I've ever seen.
Hey, that's okay.
And when an Army man says that to a Marine brother, he means it.
Oh, it was just luck.
You mean guts.
Well, it didn't take any more guts than you fellows had when you went in on Kiska.
Well, we had plenty of camera and plenty of film in Kiska, but we didn't have any Japs.
How many cameras did you take in with you?
Took in 3 IMO hand cameras.
Poodle Urkel got his camera wet the first day.
Yeah, that left us with 2 cameras, Kelly's and mine. We took in about 5,000 feet of film, and I only shot at 2,000.
Only 2,000?
Well, that's all. I picked my shots.
Did you shoot much film on the ship?
Well, I've got a cut reel over here. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, all I don't know is what I've seen in the newsreel.
We shot some stuff on the way over, and the Navy boys shot some stuff on the wagons. This is a shot of the task force underway. I was trying to save film, but it was my first big job, and there were a couple of pictures I had to take. On the last day out, Father Francis Kelly celebrated Mass. "24 hours later, a lot of those fellows were dead. A Navy steward baked a cake, and the frosting got a big laugh, but the warning didn't seem so funny when we hit the beach on the next day. Every Marine in the outfit, including the cameraman, knew as much about the operation as his CO. We were going out to take Betio Island, key to an atoll called Tarawa, a move that would drive the Japs out of that part of the Pacific up into their bases in the Marshalls a couple of 100 miles north. D-Day was the 20th of November. The naval bombardment began at 0500. There weren't any Jap airplanes around, but there's a Jap sub out there that the boys kept on the move. One thing I didn't want to take a picture of was a Jap torpedo heading for my boat. Our Army and Navy planes had been pasting the island for 5 days, and it didn't seem as though anyone on Betio could have lived through that bombing. And we weren't green. I've served with the Marines for 5 years, and more than half of the task force were veterans of Guadalcanal. But we figured there wouldn't be many live Japs left on the island. Navy men on the wagons took these pictures of the loading of powder charges. I was slated to go in with the first wave, and we were waiting around with the Amtraks. Everybody got a kick out of watching the wagons unload on the target. "2,800 tons of bombs and shells hit the beaches and cut through the pounds like a whipsaw. We packed shovels along with us, but we figured we wouldn't have to dig any foxholes, only Jap graves. There was a heavy smoke coming off the island, carried along by an easterly breeze. The Japs were still answering our fire when we headed in. The water was choppy. These pictures of the first wave of Amtraks were taken about 1,000 yards from shore. We were heading straight in for the bloodiest operation in the history of the Marine Corps, but we still thought it was going to be a picnic. There's a gasoline dump going up. The air support was good. We kept about 100 planes in the sky all the time, blasting and strafing the Japs along the beach. Then the Higgins boat snagged on a reef, and the Japs began to get our range and the range of the Amtraks. We had to get out and wade about 400 yards through terrific crossfire. The sniper was fire empty when I got those shots. These shots were made a few minutes after the landing. The guys were hugging the beach, trying to get their wind after the 400-yard push. It wasn't going to be any 24-hour operation. There were plenty of Japs on the island, and they decided to die there. The Japs had spent every day and night for 15 months getting the island ready for a fight. The top of that blockhouse was about 15 feet wide. The exits covered with machine gun and rifle fire. The Japs kept coming out, trying to knock out the machine gun. There's one of them. That sniper's got a bead on another. There's a squad of them. Boy, it was hot that day and was I sweating. Tells the truth, but it doesn't give you any idea of how it smelled. And the smell on that island was bad. The wounded started going back 6 minutes after we hit the beach. And the stretcher bearers, all members of the shore party, were the unsung heroes of Tarawa. Plenty of them got hit. Stretcher bearers loaded the wounded onto rubber rafts and pushed them out to the Higgins boats off the reef. That was the only way of getting them out. They couldn't load them on at the pier because of the snipers. We lost more than 1,000 Marines. More than 2,000 of our men were wounded. I'd served with the outfit for 15 months, and I knew a lot of them. On the third day, that Marine, the one without the helmet, was souvenir hunting when he found a couple of Japs in that foxhole. The Japs lost 5,700 men, Imperial Japanese Marines, defending an island that wasn't 2 miles square. That gives you an idea of how important Tarawa was in their plans. It was the stiffest price they've ever paid, and one of their greatest defeats. We call those two the brothers. We brought in a few Japanese prisoners for intelligence, no more than a couple of hundred. That sniper was nearly 6 feet tall. The prisoners had to be stripped to keep them from concealing weapons, and they'd hide a weapon anywhere. They were sullen and still hoped up over the idea that they were supermen, even after they'd been captured. The Koreans were different. They were men whose country had been captured by the Japanese, and the Japs brought them out to Tarawa to work as slaves. When we got back to Pearl Harbor, they told us that in Cairo, Roosevelt, Churchill, and Chiang Kai-shek had guaranteed Korea her independence on the same day that we saved these Koreans from the Japanese. I took these pictures the day before Thanksgiving. The camera gives you a good idea of the kind of desolation the cracked brains in Berlin and Tokyo have wished on the world. The wrecked Jap equipment we found has been brought in from all over. China, Malaya, Burma, Manchukuo. They had that 2x4 island loaded down with the loot from every country they've overrun. They even dragged guns down from the old British fortress at Singapore. But none of it was much good to them after the second day of fighting, with the guns knocked out and the gunners dead. There's a kitten I found in the tracks of a Jap tank. The smell of water brought her out. That's me giving her the water. The other cameraman took the picture. Seabees were already working on the 2 bomber strips on the island, and on the 4th day, Tarawa began to function as an advanced air base. Ensign Bill Kelly of Newcastle, Pennsylvania, brought the first plane in. Everybody got around to watch the flag go up. A lot of good guys from the outfit weren't there anymore. I'm glad I got these pictures, because when you remember the roaches you've been fighting and the things they represented, and when you saw the flag go up and remembered the freedoms that flag stood for, you knew you were in on a good thing.